Welcome to Mupo and Friends. We are
Emanuela Messina,
and I'm Michelle Mupo.
and we are brought to you guys by Mupo TV.
And you could catch this show and many others at www.mupotv.com. And if you want to know more about our company and you're looking for a career or you just want to know about what we do, go to mupoentertainment.com. So stay tuned in Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern because you could watch Mupo and Friends, the actual show that we're doing today. And our show is very rocking. And I have to say, we have some pretty cool guests that actually come on and really share things on Mupo and Friends that they've never shared before.
That's so true. They always share things here first. And we want to thank you guys for tuning in and joining us, where we love to bring you guys awesome celebrities and entrepreneurs you guys want to know about.
By the way, I got to tell you, we have our very own app. So the app is on Android and iOS.
And if you guys have not downloaded it yet, make sure you download it.
Oh, wait. And we're on Roku and Fire Stick too.
We are, and we guys, we're growing, which is phenomenal. And if you have not done it yet, make sure to download the app on Android and iOS. And like Michelle said, we are also on Roku and Fire Stick. So Michelle, did you have a Mupo awesome week?
I always have a Mupo awesome week. What about you? Did you have a Mupo awesome week?
Every week is a Mupo awesome week.
Well, we're going to have to talk about that later in the show. But we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back with our special guest. And this is a really good one. I can't wait to see this person and reunite again.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mupo and Friends. And our special guest today is a musician and songwriter who went from being a shy and quiet kid to picking up a guitar and writing songs and developing an underground following. The songs that began as a form of self-therapy turned into a full-blown lifetime career, including songs on the soundtrack of The Crow, City of Angels, and Cowboys and Angels. Please welcome Bridget West. Hello, Bridget. How are you?
Hey, Bridget.
Hi, everyone. Hello.
Let's hear that accent a little bit.
What accent?
All right. So at what point during lockdown did you actually get the idea for your musical project, Lockdown?
At what point? I think it was when I realized, there was a moment I realized that everybody in the whole, pretty much in the whole world, or, the world as I know it, was going through the same thing. And I'm just thinking, no matter if you are kind of, in some very small town in Illinois, or if you're in, Hollywood, or if you're in London, if you're in Rome, everywhere around the world is dealing with this very unprecedented situation where we can't go out, we can't see our friends, our lives are very, very limited. And I started thinking about how lonely that must be for lots of people, and how much I wanted to really kind of just reach out, especially, to my fans that have been so incredibly loyal to me. So I thought, I'll do it. I'll just pick up my guitar. And I picked up my guitar and I recorded everything on my iPhone. I don't know if you know that or not. So yeah, I
did. I spoke to Anthony. He told me.
Yeah. So it's just like, and I thought, and I just put the videos out and people loved it. And I wish I could have done more, but it's kind of what I managed to do during lockdown, and then I ended up putting it out with 2 new songs as well. So yeah.
And did Can You Talk come from a personal experience with lack of human interaction during the lockdown?
That's a very, very good question, and it absolutely did. I actually met someone through, started, I think it was like actually through Instagram, and ended up having this most amazing text conversation. I don't know if you've ever had a conversation on text that was just so like every single text that comes through is like, wait a minute, what? You know that song, or you know that band, or how, like, we had so many common interests, but there was at one point where I just said, let's just have a chat, let's talk, because it was kind of, it wasn't enough just to have this sort of, the on-screen thing. And anyway, we ended up talking. And then I just thought, oh gosh, I can't wait to meet this person. And that whole idea of having to actually wait to meet them. So that's all in the song. So yeah, that song is totally, absolutely 100% around the experience of meeting someone during this really crazy time that we called lockdown. But yeah, and now we're just amazing friends. So it's great. It was what
Awesome.
my
Well, what other aspects of the lockdown came to play while writing music for your CD, though? Because, I mean, it was very smart of you to do. It really was.
Oh, thank you. So sorry, Michelle, can you just repeat the question?
Oh my God, you sound so wild when you say Michelle. Yeah, what, so for those of you who don't know, I've known
Yeah.
her all my life.
Oh,
And
we've known each other since we were kids. We even almost got arrested together.
yes, that is true. And to tell you the truth, I always wanted to be in your family because I wanted to be in the Partridge Family, but your family was the most musical family. I think it blew the Partridge Family away because everyone in your whole entire family has talent of some sort.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
yeah, but
I'm the least talented person in my
that's
family.
not true. Not true. I knew you were going to be famous since like when John Lennon died. That's when I knew you were going to be famous.
Really?
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. And I remember I told somebody who we used to hang out with, which I'm not going to mention any names, but they got a little jealous because I said that. But getting back to the interview, like what other aspects of the lockdown came into play? Okay, like while writing, like what else happened during lockdown while writing the CD? Did anything else happen that was just crazy that made you come up with like obviously there's certain songs that we're going to get into. We have questions down the road, but your suicide song, for instance.
Oh, well, that Pretty Suicide is a song I wrote way back in the 90s. And that was one of the first sort of singles that we put out as a band. No, actually, no, it wasn't. Well, as a full, just before we did our big, the Year of the Rat album. But yeah, Pretty Suicide is a New York song that's about a girl that jumped off the Empire State Building, and there's a really, really amazing photo of her in sort of in Time Life, like one of the books that you can get, hardcover book of all the Time Life photographs, the famous ones. It's called Death at an Early Age, and it was taken in, I think, the 1930s. And it's that song is totally, I just saw this photograph and I thought, I really want to write this woman's story. I want to imagine what it must have been like for her and why she did what she did. And it doesn't glorify suicide in any way, but it actually does talk about how when she landed on the car, she was sort of in a very sort of peaceful and very beautiful pose, and it almost looked almost like sculptural in the way that the car was sort of crushed underneath her. And yeah, it's a very, very moving photograph. If you ever want to Google it, it's called Death at an Early Age, and it's published by Time Life.
I'll definitely check that out.
And what do you believe the silver lining is in the pandemic?
Do I believe the silver lining is there was a silver lining in the pandemic?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think we discovered so much about ourselves I think everyone had to really understand what it meant to be not able to do the things that we wanted to do. Suddenly the freedoms were taken away, and we were, I mean, from my own experience, I was left in a very, very isolating position, because I live in the countryside in England. I live about an hour from London, but it's very, very rural. And I did at that time. And yeah, I mean, it was incredibly isolating. I think we all learned about how important it is to actually look in on ourselves and be introspective sometimes, as opposed to constantly thinking, what am I going to do tonight? Who am I going to see tonight? Where am I going to go tonight? Because all of those things we couldn't do. In England, it was especially brutal. Like, we really, everything was closed. Everything. Couldn't go to a restaurant, couldn't go to the movies, couldn't go anywhere. In fact, we couldn't even leave the house with a person that wasn't part of our own immediately family that lived with. And these laws were very much enforced. It wasn't like, I talked to my family in the States, and they're like, yeah, but no one really, everybody kind of broke the rules a little bit here. It was not like that. It's very much, everybody was very, really, really followed everything very, very clearly. And I learned that for me, it was that, I was okay with that stillness. I was okay with myself. And it was really refreshing to know that, that I could actually just, be with my own thoughts and things like that. And for me, there was a silver lining in that.
And
yeah,
obviously you're the 11th out of 12 children, right?
Yes.
How did that shape your character, being in that famous family of yours?
Well, it was very chaotic. We, and when you have that many brothers and sisters, there's no real kind of time, one-on-one time with, your parents or anything like that. It's very much a feral existence. I was very much left to my own devices. And I think that shaped me, because I've always felt like I could sort of do what I wanted to do, and that I didn't have very much, I didn't have a lot of sort of fear around of being successful or not being successful. I just sort of went, I'm just going to do this because this is what I want to do. I didn't have, in a way, it was good. I didn't have a whole bunch of influences going, oh no, you need to go to school, you need to get a degree, you need to do this, you need to do that. I mean, I did all that afterwards, which is fantastic, and I'm glad I did all that. But the idea that there was always somebody watching you, well, there wasn't really anybody watching me. So I just did what I wanted to do, and I kind of still do, to be honest.
How was the punk rock sound and lifestyle liberating for you?
I guess, I have to say the most amazing thing about that was that I don't know, Michelle, if you remember, but I used to be a little bit of a tomboy. And I really felt that when I learned how to play guitar, and I was doing, the early days of New York Blues, I had very short hair. I was very much into kind of almost being a boy. That was very liberating for me. Everyone always thought, oh, she's just so pretty. And for me, it was like, yeah, that's not that fun for me to be pretty. I want to just kind of be something else. I want to be different. I don't want to be this typical blonde, pretty, person from New Jersey, So I really kind of reinvented myself, and I very much fashioned myself after a boy rather than a girl. So I think actually I probably had sort of sexual identity issues or trans issues before we even really kind of had a name for those things. But for me, that was so liberating to be able to just be just one of the guys up there on stage playing hard, heavy music with really, huge amounts of energy. Yeah, it really was incredibly liberating for me.
And Why did you choose to perform acoustically when you began to post music online? Like, because I remember you with an electric guitar too.
Yeah, I guess because it doesn't sound great when you don't have a whole band and you're playing the electric guitar. For me, it just sounded a bit like, it didn't sound great. So I think it was sort of more, and also because I felt like the songs, I wanted people to really kind of hear the craft of the songs and sort of the inner workings of the songs. And I felt like with the acoustic guitar, it just had that softer approach. And so that's why I did that.
And it's beautiful, by the way. So we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back with our special guest.
Welcome back, and we are with our special guest, Bridget West. Now, why use social media as a venue?
Why not? I mean, it's the best thing to do if you want to kind of reach a whole bunch of people. And, I don't know what I would have done without social media. I think people would have probably forgotten about me a very long time ago because, it's just brilliant for that. It's just brilliant for really just reaching out to people and connecting. So yeah, that's why.
And what was the oddest or most surprising fan request for a song on Facebook?
I think it was a very, very obscure song that was only released in Australia on a very, very limited run, on a 7-inch single. And I thought, that song, that's amazing. So yeah, the song is called Fade. Yeah, that was pretty surprising that someone actually wanted me to play that.
And why do you think New York Luth's Pretty Suicide received a popular vote?
I think people like songs about stories. I think story songs are kind of a really, people they resonate with people. They like listening to stories. We all, that's sort of an ancient thing. It goes back to, very, very early men. We pass on stories. We listen to stories. Also, it's not a song about sort of heartbreak. It's not a song about me. It's not a song about something. It's a song about somebody else. And it's a really, it's an interesting story. And also, obviously, Pretty Suicide, those two words are completely, at odds with each other. We would never hear those two words together. And that, obviously, as a writer, that was the goal, to kind of just put these two words together and make it really evocative. So I think whatever I did there must have worked, and people really liked the song.
And what was the strangest place you've ever gotten an idea for a song? Like,
I don't know. I mean, I think when I write, I kind of grab lots of different, like almost little sort of vignettes of life and stuff. And I think the song Broken, I remember I wrote part of that song in London. I was standing on top of Camden Lock, and I was looking at the water going underneath me, and I was feeling really sort of broken, sort of a little bit of like kind of almost disjointed from my world, because I was sort of on tour in England. So I was still living in New York back then and had come to England for a tour. So I have a line in there that says, standing on the bridge, black water around my bed. And what that means is sort of like, it's sort of, when you think of a bed, I was thinking, okay, that's kind of where you feel comfortable. But at this moment in time, I don't feel comfortable. there's like black water all around me. And it's kind of like sort of like almost a surreal thing. I go into sort of like almost switch into this kind of dream state, and I try and sort of write almost as if you were having a dream, like how sometimes in dreams things just don't make sense, that you can't really
It's true.
connect one with next. It's just completely, everything is upside down. So I yeah, I think that's probably one of the moments I remember about how I wrote song.
What is it about the UK that makes it more alluring than the US?
I wouldn't say it's about being alluring. I think what it is that it was just a sort of a set of circumstances that I was signed to Sony Music Publishing, and I was working in London. And I came here in 1999, and I was just about to go home, and I met someone, and then ended up marrying that person. We're not married anymore, God, and having 2 children. So I couldn't really leave. I couldn't. When you have kids in one country and then their father's in another country, you can't just kind of go, okay, we're all going back to America. Like, it just doesn't work like that. I liked bringing the kids up in the UK. That was another thing. They have a very different system here, education system, and yeah, I think it was more for that. But there's a lot of really amazing things about living here. Free healthcare, number one. And
Really?
yeah, for everybody.
Hmm.
Yeah. And so it's a wonderful place to live. I mean, I do miss America and still love America a lot, and especially New York. But I do love living here, so I'm here.
We're going to take a quick commercial break and we will be right back.
Back with Bridget West. Now, Bridget, word has it that you are a pet lover. So can you tell us about your pets? I loved your dog, by the way, in New Jersey, the big Lassie dog.
Oh, Samson. Do you remember Samson? Oh my God, he was incredible. He really, really was a good friend of mine. Very good friend of mine. I've had animals my whole life, no matter where I've been or where I've lived or what I've been doing. I had cats in New York. I had dogs in New York. So at the moment, I have honestly, he is the thing that kind of almost keeps me kind of going in life. He's called Alfred, and he's a big black Labrador.
Oh.
Yeah, and he's brilliant, and he's just the most noble creature ever, and I just love him so much. So I have him. I also have a Romanian rescue dog called Frida. She's named after Frida Kahlo, the artist, because she's had a very hard life, and and she's now so she's really, really cute. I have a cat who is a lilac Burmese. She's really very sweet. She's called Hazel. And I also, with my new partner, have now another animal called Knox, and she's a black cat. And I always say she looks, she's very much just like that typical witch's cat. And she's very, very sweet. So yeah, but I love horses. I've worked a lot with horses. I have some training in kind of, looking after horses and riding horses. There's something about animals I love. I mean, I don't have to keep them as a pet to love to love the animal. Sometimes I'll see sort of like like a squirrel and just be like, I'm just like one of those people, like, oh, look at the, I'm just one of those like crazy people that loves animals.
I am too. I want a monkey.
Oh,
I always did want a monkey.
It's true.
I did.
I love animals too. Which song have you written that is the closest to your heart?
Oh my God, what a question. I think, well, one of the songs that when I listen to it now, I still kind of get, oh, it's called "We Didn't Make It," and it's on one of my solo albums. And that song is, in fact, I'm thinking about writing when I do this book. I'm kind of thinking about actually using it as a title. It's sort of like, what happens when you don't make it? Like, everyone, there's always that sort of idea where, yeah, I'm going to become really, really, famous, and everything is going to work out in my life exactly how I want it to be. I'm going to be with the man I wanted to be. I'm going to be with the career I wanted to be. But what if it doesn't work out like that? Then what? So that song is for me is like one of those songs. It's like, I mean, that's when I listen to it, it brings me back to things that I wish I was able to achieve, and I didn't. So now what do I do? And that's actually the question. So now what do you do? Because if you don't keep going, and you don't keep staying positive, and you don't keep, working towards, having what you've always dreamed of, then nothing will ever happen. So just because you don't have something now doesn't mean you'll never have it. So that's kind of what that was about. And yeah, I think that's probably the one.
And do you actually think that the gap has finally closed for women to be taken seriously in the music industry?
Yes, I do.
And you were a big part of that, by the way. So just know that.
I
Just
don't know
tell
if I was. I think,
you're
Michelle,
up there with Joan Jett, honey. You are. You just don't know it. You just don't want to believe it. You are.
It's interesting that you say that. I probably don't know that because because I'm not a household name, because I'm not super duper famous, because I wasn't really, one of those people that kind of like just went up and up and up. And one of the reasons I didn't do that is because I was a girl. I was a woman. And it was heartbreaking sometimes, because it was very much like, I knew that if the same sort of demand or sentence or complaint or whatever came out of the mouth of a man at that time, it would have been fine. But because it was me, it was like offensive. You know what I'm trying to say?
I do know. Trust me.
It's like, wow, I actually went to well, there was a one thing where I was on the road. I was doing a radio sort of, because the City of Angels had come out, and I was doing a radio promotion tour. So it was like sort of like in a different town, a different city, state every single day. It was really hard work. But I remember one night being really, really tired, and having to go to this guy's house who was the radio programmer for like the whole of the Midwest. I'm thinking, I'm really tired. Why are we going there tonight? Like, I was so stupid. Anyway, so the guy that worked for my record label, we go in, he kind of leaves me in the living room with this guy and then leaves. It was night. Are you
freaking kidding me?
I know. And I was like, oh my God. And I just, I kicked off. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm tired. I want to go home. And nothing's going to happen. I'm not going to do that thing where, to get ahead in my career or whatever. I'm just not going to do it. It hurt me. I played on Midwest radio. So wow. Yeah, definitely times. Definitely. I mean, there's so many of those type of things that's happened to me. And because I think people just like saw me as sort of like, oh, she's this like, sexy girl like in a band, so she's going to be all like up for it. It's like, no. I mean, I was just I had to, and I think that's actually what has kept my fans and sort of loyal. And do they really get me? They get it's all about the music. It's not actually about being famous. It's not about trying to like, be the next whatever. It never has been. It's always been about me, my integrity, my songwriting, my craft, my performances and all of that sort of stuff. So yeah.
And you are a performer. You are. I mean, I've seen you. I remember, I think it was CB. Where was it that the toilet paper was hanging down on the wall? Was that CBGB's you played New
Yeah.
York Blues? I was there, and I wanted to wait till after the show to see you, and then they were like, "We got to go, Fuchsia," because that's when I went by Fuchsia. Yeah,
Oh,
they're picking.
yes, yes.
So I was just like, damn, I wanted to like really meet up with her. Like I went to school with her and they're like, no. And then like, meanwhile, I'm with like people that started to get noticed. So then we were like, we had to leave. I was pissed. But yeah, you rocked it. I was so proud of you. And I remember, going home and telling your mom and she, she was like, you should have spoke to her. And I'm like, I really would have, trust me. But I wasn't.
So like nothing was like, it was so hard to get to people, right? Because if it was a full packed club, it was almost impossible to kind of get backstage, get into where the bands were. It was, yeah.
It was crazy, but I remember I had to go to the bathroom and I'm like, where the hell's the toilet paper? And I remember Lisa saying, it's hanging from the wall. And I'm like, oh man. And I was just like, this is not, I'm not kidding. It was literally toilet paper was hanging on a string from the wall. Is that crazy? And then, yeah. And I was just like, okay, whatever. And it is what
Yeah.
it is.
So I'm curious, who inspired you to be a rock star?
I don't know if there's one person. I think probably listening to Iggy Pop, especially the Raw Power album. That was a big one for me. I loved the energy. I loved the reckless abandon of it. I loved, I even, funny enough, my first band was called Evil Wattage. And I went out in a bra because I just went, Iggy goes out with no top on because I'm a girl. I can't do that. So I'm going to just wear my bra. And it felt so like liberating, but there was no, I didn't feel like, oh, it's going to be like this sexual thing. It was just sort of like, I don't know. I think he is probably one of my big he is one of my big inspirations. He has a sense of humor about what he does. He doesn't take himself too seriously. He was the real deal. I mean, and he was doing this type of music, in the early, like sort of mid 60s. It wasn't even like 1977 punk. Do you know what I mean? It was like before that. So he was a total pioneer in that. So yeah, I think funny enough, it would have to be Iggy. And I also think his songwriting is really, really overlooked as well. So yeah.
Now, out of your brothers and sisters, who is the closest to you? Like who really are you the closest to? And I'm going to ask you two questions. And then the next one is, what's next for you musically or personally?
Okay. I'm going to say that I'm probably closest to my sister Rosie because she was almost like my mother growing up because my mom was very, very busy and doing other stuff. So my sister Rosie was like yeah. So Rosie probably. What's next for me? Well, I'm hoping to work on some new material. I really want to do a new rock album. I have a band that I'm interested in working with, so I'm just kind of finding the time to do that and make a new record. I'm working with somebody who wants to write my biography, which is so cool, and my memoirs. And I have a new business that I'm working on here. So I'm opening the doors to my new sort of art and antiques store on Thursday, which is
nice.
In 2 days. So I've been working. I've been working on that. So yeah, I'm doing lots of different things.
Congratulations on that. And we're definitely going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with the conclusion of our interview with Bridget West.
And we are back with Bridget. And before we wrap things up, we have one question to ask you. The last question. If you were to interview yourself, what question would you ask and what would the answer be?
Oh my God, that is so difficult. Okay, I think I would probably say something like, Bridget, what is it that gives you purpose in your life? What is it that makes you get up every morning and still have, always have that sort of feeling of being wanting to move forward and that sort of drive and also where do you get the confidence to do that? The answer, I don't actually know. I mean, I think that I I think it's something that I was born with. I think people have they're lucky enough to be born with certain sort of attributes and character. Thankfully, I was born with this feeling of wanting to stay positive and move forward and not let, I mean, listen, I've been through the whole mental health, sort of gambit, right? I've been there, but I've chosen a life that is positive. Every day I make a decision that I will be positive. It's basically, the theory is existentialism, if you want to look that one up.
I love it.
Yeah, and it's, I live in a very, very, very sort of existential way that I feel like I have a choice. Even though my day is going really bad and everyone is letting me down around me, I'm going to make the choice to still try.
This was
And
meant to
so,
happen. It was.
That was a
Because
great answer.
You know what it is? You're in line with us because that's how we are. If something bad happens, you know what you do? You just say, okay, that's bad. Let's fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't do that. They just dwell
exactly.
on the past. You froze.
Yeah.
Well, problem is the solution. There's a solution. Even if the solution isn't exactly the one that you really wanted, like with this shop that I'm doing, okay? I had 3 different carpet fitters let me down.
Oh, you should have told me. I'm coming to London. I can lay carpet.
I don't have carpet. I'm opening my shop and I have no carpet. Right? So I'm going tomorrow to paint the floor and put IKEA rugs down until I can get somebody to show up and do the carpet.
Well, I'm going to give you advice.
Do.
When you're painting the floor, you have to be real particular because if you're going to get a glued down carpet, the glue will not adhere to the paint. So you're going to have to scrape that paint up.
It's going to go around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be the carpet's down and then I'm just going to paint around the carpet, but it's temporary. But the thing is, there's this massive fair called the Petworth Art and Antiques Fair, which is going into the town that my shop is in. So I have to open this weekend. It would be such a missed opportunity if I didn't.
You're going to do very well. And we're going to promote it. And if we have to do lives with you on Instagram, we will as well.
This name of my shop, if anyone is interested, the name of my shop is called Mandrake Petworth, and I'm on Instagram and I've got a website, but that's just that's not music. It's my other love of which is art and sort of old things, antiques and things like that.
Love it. Well, it's been a pleasure visiting with you today, and you guys can find Bridget West Music on Spotify, Apple Music, and on Amazon. You can also follow, like, and subscribe to Bridget on Facebook under Bridget West, or Bridget West Music at Bridget West Music on Instagram, on her YouTube channel under Bridget West, and her website, www.bridgetwest.com.
And when you Google him, you must put the J, so it's BRIJITTE.
Can you say that one more time with that accent? I love it.
And when you Google my name, you must put the J. It's BRIJITTE.
I love it. And as always, thank you for tuning into Mupo and Friends, courtesy of Mupo TV. And you could catch this show and many others at www.mupotv.com. That's www.mupotv.com. And also catch us on Roku and Fire Stick. And make sure you download our app on Android and iOS.
This is Emanuela Messina with our special host, Michelle Mupo. Until next time.
Have a Mupo awesome week.